Okay, all right, folks. Good afternoon, YouTube. Today we're doing another reaction video. Give me a couple minutes so we get this live chat working properly here. Just give me 1 second here. Just got to change a link. All right, that should show up the proper feed here. There we go. So if you folks do pop into the chat while I'm doing this video, I will again answer those questions. If you pop into the chat, I'll see the participant list. Just go ahead and say hi, and I will kind of pause and respond to questions. So doing something a little different today. You folks know I've been doing a lot of these live reaction videos. This is mainly, I'm kind of copying what Philion Live does. He has a primary channel, and then he has a secondary channel where he does reaction videos. And I'm just going to react to basically different videos, just basically kind of pick something different and react to it. Today I'm going to be reacting to another reaction video from a guy named, what's his name here? What the hell's his name? I just had it here. It's called The Satisfying Downfall of Wes Watson. And for those of you who don't know who Wes Watson is, this is a critique video put up by Big Craig. I've been following his channel for a little while now. And Wes Watson is a YouTube influencer. We'll just call him like a social media influencer who's in amazing, really good shape, right? On the outside, right? We don't know what the blood work looks like. We don't, and nor do we care, right? But if you look at the guy, again, what people find healthy is subjective to a point. Somebody might look at somebody with big muscles and be very ripped and lean and say that guy's not in great shape. He's too lean. Or one guy may say he's too big. Another person may say that guy's in amazing shape. He's super healthy. Ultimately, you know, genetics really plays a role into how long we live on this earth. And absolutely somebody can look amazing and still be very unhealthy on the inside. And again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody likes something different. So I was going to do this reaction video, and we'll see what Big Craig has to say. Again, trying just different videos to see what actually sticks. And it's just kind of fun to hear what my subscribers have to say about these different videos that I put up, right? So let's begin it. Now, just so you guys know, I don't follow Wes Watson. I don't really follow a lot of people on YouTube. Usually the guys that I do follow, whether it be on Instagram or really primarily the way I use is YouTube, is generally channels that are like watch related, cologne related. But there's not a lot of folks that I watch really often. My understanding of what I know about Wes Watson is that he's really liked and really hated, and that's going to be, you know, that's the way it is with everything, right? Some, you know, people like me, people hate me, right? And that's pretty much anytime you put yourself out there on social media, you're going to get that. You're going to have haters, you're going to have people who like you got people who are in love with you. There's just a huge, broad spectrum of people, and you can't fight everybody. I do respond to everybody. If you make a comment, of course, I fire back. So I do, I guess, appreciate that from what I've seen by Wes Watson, but there's a point at which your channel becomes so large. Like, he's got over 500,000 subs. He's extremely well off. And his story, from my understanding, is basically a guy who spent a lot of time in prison and then got out and started a channel that's about, you know, motivation. Seems like everybody wants to be a Tony Robbins nowadays. There's nothing wrong with motivating people. I think you should be careful with who you decide to take advice from and who you decide to let motivate you, right? But again, in the world of people with lack of critical thinking, you know, everybody's going to like something different, and I'm not one to tell people who to follow or not. I'm just going to give you my opinion on this guy, and I'm not going to insult this guy. I'm really trying not to. Just going to kind of give my opinion on what I think, right? And I'm just a little YouTuber, right? It's mainly for my subscribers. So let's begin the video. Let's see what this gentleman has to say about Wes Watson.
Authentic stories on how he survived the California prison system and giving the gory details of what goes on inside. However, the fame seems to have gotten to his head after he scammed his audience of thousands while bragging about it, was totally embarrassed by Penguin Zero, and
so Penguin Zero is a huge YouTuber. He's got 16.5 million subs. Like, that guy's straight up amazing. And I always find it amazing what really sticks with YouTube. Like, you know, it's amazing. Like, he kind of does what I do, but he just has an amazing following, which is crazy, right? Good on him, right? Which my channel had 1 million, even 100,000. But hey, you know what? You know, a guy like that provides great, I guess, commentary, and so good for him. But generally, if you get on, think about YouTube, if you get on somebody's, I guess, shit list, it really just helps the person that you're critiquing, right? Especially when you have a channel that large, it just brings more and more people. If you're going to make a video about, let's just, in this case, Wes Watson, you're going to have, you know, a lot more that that channel is going to get recognized a lot more, right? You're going to add to the gentleman's fame, right? So, but from what I understand, Wes Watson, he does like online coaching and sort of like almost like, I may be wording this wrong, but there's different tiers for you to sign up for like him to be like your mentor, basically. You know, I don't have a mentor in life. My father is the most amazing. For me personally, the way I feel about things, I don't have like a business mentor. My father was a working man, right? He's retired, of course. I'm a working man. Nobody's rich here. We just try to be smart about what we spend our money on. So my idol, my mentor is my father because he's an amazing human being. Same thing with my mother. I generally don't idolize people who are filthy rich. Now, does that not mean that I wish I was filthy rich? Absolutely, I do. But I just don't think that, and this may be my downfall, and again, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong here, but I just don't, it takes more than just like muscles and a guy who's in great shape on the outside, right? We don't know, just from what I find great shape, like as far as cosmetics and looks, right? Big, jacked muscles, right? I think, you know, I kind of like compare it like it's an Invicta watch, right? It's going to get noticed. So whether you think like a woman's going to like big muscles or not, I think most people would look at him with his shirt off, walking around mowing the lawn, not that he does that, but and say, wow, that dude, you know, put in the work. And absolutely. But a lot of these guys, you know, and I don't want to overgeneralize when I see some of these workout videos that he does, you know, I don't see a lot of real pain pushing through the pain, you know, and you can't judge somebody's workout behavior based on, you know, a couple of clips here and there. A lot of times they do these clips just for, you know, traction on YouTube or traction on Instagram. They're like commercials, right? And that may not necessarily be how he works out. I'm more of a guy who pushes pretty hard when my body allows me to, right? As you get older, you're going to have shoulder pain and joint pain. And so, but when I look at, you know, generally, genetics play a huge role in working out. And this video isn't about working out, but you know, this is my opinion, that when you see people who are big and jacked like that, generally they're on gear, right? And there are very few people who have genetics to just be that way, right? To, you know, eat whatever. You have all these fitness influencers on the internet eating high calorie, huge meals, you know, 20 burgers. We've all seen these videos. And the average person can't do that. The average person gets fat. So when you're on drugs, your body remains lean. You can even be in a calorie deficit and you can gain muscle and keep your vascularity. So, you know, it's hard, you can't really compare yourself to people who are jacked like that, because I can tell you I've been pushing pretty hard. And I am a workout till failure kind of guy. I get my rest. I generally try to eat within a calorie surplus. And I can tell you after like 4 years of consistent training, yeah, absolutely. I know I've made a difference in my body, right? I've made changes. I know, because when people tell you that, they're like, hey, you look like you've been working out. Absolutely. But I'm not jacked and huge, right? My weight fluctuates between 175 pounds to 185 pounds. And so for me to absolutely, let's say I want to get up to 200, there's not a workout program in the world that's going to get me there. I'd have to go into a huge calorie surplus, and you are going to get fat when you put on muscle. And you know, I am happy with where I'm at. Till summer, I try to fluctuate the weight down a little bit. We're more active, moving around outside. I generally drop down in weight. So weight's going to fluctuate. But for anybody who's kind of starting any kind of fitness program, just be careful who you follow, because a lot of these guys will tell you all these different techniques for working out and all this stuff. Ultimately, it's not rocket science. There's no little twist you're going to do in a bicep curl. It's going to affect your overall, you know, the overall difference, right? Doing subtle changes to your workout are not going to make insane differences. You have to kind of keep it to the basics, right? Your core bulking exercises to really put on the most mass possible. And somebody look at this video and be like, what the fuck do you know about that? You're not a mass monster. Obviously, right, but I'm giving you my opinion on what I find has worked for me. And generally, I think if you have a full-time job and you have other things in your life that you're trying to accomplish, then, you know, consistency is better than having the best workout program in the world and kind of failing at keeping consistent with it, right? So if you have a program which involves 20 push-ups and you're doing it 3 times a week, and that's the best you can get, it's better to do that than to have this huge workout program where you hit it for a week and you feel amazing, and then you're like, oh, well, I missed it the next week. So consistency is key with anything, really. And so I just think that, you know, sticking to the bench, the squat, deadlift, those compound exercises are going to give you the most bang for your buck. You can't compare yourself to professional bodybuilders who are on all kinds of gear, on having coaches and trainers, and their primary job is to eat, sleep, and work out, right? So you cannot compare yourself to people like that, because when they say, oh, well, I've been tweaking my bicep curl a little bit to build up this section of my bicep, that works when you're on gear. That doesn't work for the average person, right? So just kind of keep that in mind.
Most recently, beat a man so much that he may end up back to where he started. Born in 1983.
So this is, I don't know if you guys have seen him beating the shit out of the guy in the gym. He was, now here's where I want to give you my opinion. I've seen the video of this. A guy did confront Wes Watson, but Wes Watson is very mouthy. He runs his mouth nonstop on social media. He really is a narcissist. He loves himself. And hey, who am I to judge, right? More power to you. It's not affecting my life, right? It's not like I follow him. It doesn't piss me off to see him making shit tons and millions of dollars, driving Bugattis, all stuff. I've heard by many YouTubers that's a rented life. We don't really know that. Only Wes Watson knows that. And I don't really care if it is a rented life or not. I'm not going to subscribe to any of his programs or waste any of my money on it. But, hey, if somebody gets a value out of it, then, there's a sucker born every minute. And maybe some people sign up for his programs and his coaching and change happens in their life. Maybe that's what they needed, right? I don't know. I can't speak to that, but generally it's not for me. But he's very mouthy. He's always confronting people online, saying, meet me here, ready to fight him. And so this kind of behavior, for a guy who's been in prison, I just don't think it's really, you think you'd really want to avoid that kind of stuff. But hey, everybody's different, and he definitely throws it out there to come meet me, come fight me. And a guy did end up coming to the gym and, confronted him. Now, Wes did have like several of his buddies around, and I just don't really think, honestly, I'm not coming across as like Mr. Fighter here at all, but I do think that if you're going to put it out there acting like you're Mr. Tough Guy, I think that the real manly thing would have been, when this guy confronts you, is for you and him to go outside, just the two of you, and squash it out. Not have a bunch of your buddies around all ready to step in, because your confidence is going to be a lot higher. You're going to be a lot cockier if you got your buddies backing you up, right? So, I don't know. He did beat the shit out of the guy, absolutely, and I guess I can kind of understand that. You got folks online who are like, oh, that was a pussy move, and I get that, but, also, he did really make an example out of the dude, but ultimately he's going to be the one that suffers for this, right? It's not really self-defense when you keep, like, beating the shit out of people. Now, I'm not an attorney, right, but when I look at the video, I don't find that self-defense. The guy was pretty much down, and he just kept wailing on him. That might come back to bite him, and that's unfortunate for a guy who's seems to have a lot, and whether you like him or hate him, he has achieved a level of success. Again, I don't like Wes Watson. I'm not really a fan at all, but I actually find him quite arrogant and annoying, to be honest with you. But it is unfortunate for a guy to achieve a certain level like that. He thinks he's a celebrity, and I mean, you're not really a celebrity. Like when you think of movie actors, like a lot of people don't know who Wes Watson is. Granted, 500,000 subscribers is a lot, and getting a lot of views on YouTube is a lot, but that's a drop in the bucket, and when we look at the world of celebrities. So it is pretty arrogant. He's like, I'm a celebrity. Like, whatever, dude. No, you're not. But he definitely has an element of fame on YouTube. There are a lot of people who know him, and it is unfortunate to have kind of get himself into a position where he could go back to jail, right? Like him or hate him, like it's unfortunate. Everybody likes kind of a comeback story, right? To spend time in prison, to come out with absolutely nothing, from what I've seen online, and to whether you're scamming people or not, ultimately people are going in there with, buyer beware. I always say this, if you're gonna sign up for somebody's course or somebody's training program, maybe just don't look at somebody because they have a bunch of money and they're on this synthetic build, right? It's fueled by gear, and say, well, I can achieve that. Not everybody can do that, right? Not everybody has the personality. We see a lot of mini-me's out there now, the Wes Watson wannabes with the beard. They're all the beard guys, but, the shaved head, and there's lots of guys who have that. I'm not saying if you have a shaved head and a beard that you're a Wes Watson wannabe, but there's a lot of guys out there with this cocky attitude, and they kind of are emulating what he does. Whether they get that level of success or not is yet to be seen, but I'm yeah, not really my thing.
3. In San Diego, California, Wes grew up in what seems like a typical stoner lifestyle. He was skateboarding, surfing, and smoking weed, all at the age of just 12 years old, and by 14, he was the one selling the plant.
I just like smoking weed. I started smoking weed at like 13 or 12. By the time I was 14 or 15, I was like, fuck this, I need to get this shit for free. So obviously the natural progression was to start slanging.
According to Wes himself, he quickly moved up the ladder, making more and more money, and quickly progressed into a middleman role, which apparently netted him tens of thousands of dollars every single week.
I'm making about 20 grand, 40 grand a week.
I don't really buy that he was making that much money slinging weed. But, I mean, one never knows. Only he knows the truth to that. But Wes Watson comes across as like a real bragger. So I think even if he was super successful, he'll always embellish what he's doing. Again, it's just my opinion. But, you know, if you sling, you know, I mean, I wouldn't really be proud of, you know, slinging at the time an illegal drug. But, you know, now weed is, you know, legal in most places. So I don't know, kind of you think about people who've gotten in trouble for selling it. I don't know. But, you know, laws are laws. And if it's a law at the time you're doing it, you know right from wrong. You know you're not supposed to do something. You do it anyway. You have to kind of, I guess, pay for those repercussions. You have repercussions that come with that, right?
Blowing it like an idiot, like a fucking kid who just got some money. Very low financial maturity. And I go get an Escalade. I put some rims on it. Now I think I'm really doing it because at that time that's...
Now, in defense to the car thing, right, I totally get this. Me and my buddies were totally into cars. You know, I don't really associate many people nowadays, but I'm always going to be into cars. I'm always going to put rims on my rides. You know, there are lots of people who are into cars. And just because one might like lifted trucks or lowriders or, you know, kind of like that Texas donk style, whatever you call it. You know, I appreciate anybody expressing themselves in a car, right, or in their, you know, their body, their life, right, what they wear. So you know, I think it's kind of cool to throw some Escalades on a ride. I remember when we're younger, we're cocky. I mean, I was way cockier at 20 years old, and I look back at, like, I think there's a couple VHS tapes of me on there, and I'm like, who is this idiot, right? And I'm sure that at some point, I even look at some of my earlier Invicta videos, and I say, man, you know, that probably wasn't the best way to articulate what you're trying to get across, but that's part of life, right? We grow, and hopefully we grow. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes, and we're gonna keep making them, right? And hopefully they're not huge mistakes that are life altering. But you know, that's especially guys in their 20s. We're all stupid, you know.
That's what all the rappers had and all the big dogs had.
Bear in mind, this is all coming from Wes himself, who, as we will come to see, is not the most reliable.
Ian, what's up, man? One person in the chat right now, he says, Ian says that Wes looks like a total tool. Yeah, you know, and I don't like to, you know, I'm not into the little tattoo thing, but, you know, like my brother-in-law's tattoos, I think they're cool on him, right? And I just think that tattoos are, I have nothing like, this is kind of a very generic look nowadays. People have tats. It's very common. It's not really unique anymore. It's more unique to see somebody without tattoos. I'm not saying that because I don't have any. I may get one day. But, you know, it is kind of a generic look. Bunch of tats, big muscles. It's kind of a dime a dozen, but you can almost say that about anything, right? People without tattoos, dime a dozen. People with beards, dime a dozen. You know, shaved part hair, like you can say the same about me. So, you know, it's express yourself how you want. I don't, you know, I think, you know, saying that he's a tool, I think there's different reasons on saying that, you know, but not, you know, let's move over.
Source. Nevertheless, he did seem like he was telling the truth on being a career criminal, as when he was in his 20s while living in a $1.6 million home and driving the best trucks, he was arrested for a deal gone wrong, which was very well documented. In 2009, a man by the name of Ruben Carvajal owed Wes and his friend money, so according to court documents, Wes attacked Ruben in his motel room, stealing drugs, money, and all of Ruben's belongings. Shortly after this incident, Wes was picked up by the police and thrown into county jail, where he...
Well, there you go. You know, I mean, there are laws, you know, and you can't... I understand that especially if you're younger, you know, I understand the initial reaction might be to, you know, somebody steals from you, owes you money to handle it yourself, right? And so, yeah, you can do that, but sometimes there are repercussions in you making that decision to do something like that.
He would serve time for almost the next decade, and it wouldn't be...
9 years, it's a long time to, you know, I can't imagine that anybody who, and I'm just going to speak for Wes in this case, but I can't imagine anybody who lost 9 years of their life in prison would say, yeah, that was the right choice. I'm sure that most people, when they know they're going away like that, it's probably like, maybe I wish I wouldn't have done that. You would think,
Quiet ride. He was apparently caught in multiple riots and prison gang fights, which landed him in solitary confinement for months on end. Wes was heavily involved in prison politics and how you need to do things to survive in prison, but it was something he learned from, and it allowed him to go on a personal journey.
I mean, I can't even relate to being in prison. Like, I'm just such I could never. Like, I mean, I just try to stay out of trouble. I do stay out of trouble. That's a different world. Like, and I don't think anybody who hasn't been to prison can even relate to that or even give an opinion, to be honest with you. But, awful. I'm sure you got to do things in prison that you would never think you had to do, right? So, can't speak on that.
Of growth and transforming himself, focusing on improving himself through mindfulness, reading, and fitness. And it was during this time he managed to get his hands on a phone and create an Instagram account in 2014, where he decided from then that he wanted to become an influencer and gave his very vain reason.
And you kind of knew that you wanted to be a content creator, or what?
I just saw money on Instagram. I saw money on there. I saw the hashtags. I saw the way the photos were. I saw the positivity.
I mean, one thing I don't find, I'm going to disagree with that, the positivity on Instagram. I don't really think people are very positive on any social media platform. Well, let me strike that. I mean, you're gonna get a mix, right? You're gonna have people who absolutely, there are haters. Like, you'll hear this guy, I don't know if he mentioned this video, be like, oh, the haters. And sometimes people kind of get hate for valid reasons, right? It seems like a lot of the hate he gets is when he had this kind of like, he was on stage, I forget the name of the guy, but they had gotten to a back and forth. And Wes kind of, in my opinion, just really didn't come across as a real alpha male. And I hate that word, but that's like something that a lot of these guys are really into, being the alpha male, the top dog. I just think it's kind of silly, to be honest with you. Maybe because I don't view myself as that. I don't really look at my life as that. And it wouldn't matter how much money that I had. I basically am in competition with myself. And sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, right? I'm sure I could do better in a lot of different things, but I don't really, the most important things in my life are my family, right? Mom, dad, sister, brother-in-law, and a select friend. And so I guess I don't really go to social media to find any kind of worth. This is a business, so I can understand that when he's like, I saw money. Yeah, I mean, if you have the bit, like if I wanted to hop on steroids and have, maybe 15 pounds more muscle, cut the body fat to single digit percentages, then maybe I would start doing a fitness channel. But I believe, and I could be wrong, I believe that people naturally, even if you know somebody's on steroids and you know that you're not going to, maybe you don't even have the genetics look that way, most people are not going to follow just an average guy getting average results, right? They want to follow this lifestyle, because people generally will take advice of people they want to look like. And if you are a guy working out to get big and you want to look like him, I can't say that I want to look like him. I think it's, for my personal taste, a little too big. I would much rather, like, if you've seen Lenny Kravitz, for instance, right? Amazing shape, especially for his friggin' age, right? Now, whether he's natural or not, who knows? But you can still be on some kind of like anabolic sauce and not be huge, So there's different compounds out there, but I wouldn't want to be this big. But I think a good size, I think for me, if I could snap my finger tomorrow, would be about 175 pounds, but maybe 8% body fat, right? My body fat's probably in the high teens, I'd say, maybe even more. No, I've never had any kind of test done, but yeah. So I mean, I think you understand where I'm coming from here.
I loved being positive. Like, I was negative my whole life. So if I could I want attention. Like, people like me and you, like.
I don't know if I buy that you're negative whole life, because generally, I'm gonna judge him here, but like a negative dude doesn't like sling weed and then go put wheels on the Escalade. He's rolling around with the watch hanging out the window. Like, to me, it's not really a negative person. I just don't, everybody goes through times when they're negative and going through things, especially if you're going to have to spend 9 years of your life. I don't think you're going to be super positive. That's going to take a lot of effort to really maintain a level of positivity. But,
like, we do what we do because we like attention. We'll be stars and we'll win because we want attention.
And John D just says, some guys on gear put out great channels for bodybuilding, but his channel is about the ego and attitude. Absolutely, yeah, I'm not a fan either at all of Wes Watson, and I'm not a fan of many fitness channels, because I do believe, and only the person who's got the channel knows whether they're on any kind of steroids, right? But I just believe that if you are going to have a fitness channel, like, and this will never happen, but I think you should be really authentic with what you're on, right? Because it's not, no matter, I know a lot of these guys will say, oh, you got to put the work in. Yeah, you got to put the work in, but to put in perspective, like, I've been training for 4 years. The results are extremely minimal and slow, right? So it's a lot easier to stay motivated at doing something and putting in the work when you're seeing results all the time that are incredible. When you have a build where you just rip your shirt off, you know, walking into a grocery store, not that anybody would want to do that in their, you know, at a certain age, but I'm just saying, like, when you are being rewarded, that's like, that keeps that behavior going, right? It's a lot harder to keep pushing in the rain, in the snow. I work outside. So to keep doing that for minimal results, that takes discipline, I think, and dedication, than to hop on gear and get, I know it's not instant results, but I just think it's a lot easier to maintain a lifestyle of working out when you're getting results a lot easier than everybody else, right? You're getting results a lot quicker. No matter what any of these guys say, you are, it's a lot easier, I think, right? And so I just think the fitness influencers should, I know they'll never do it, but I respect those more who are like, yep, this is, you know, there's a lot of people get involved in fitness who don't know how to work out, right? The form, but all this you can learn, right, on YouTube. There's so much information out there. It's not rocket science, right? And generally, yes, there's proper form, but remember, there's proper form for your body. So if you're doing bench press a certain way, just as an example, and you experience pain, don't do it that way, right? Your body mechanics are your own. So you have to do things that don't cause pain. Just because somebody says, oh, you need to have your elbows at this particular position, if that causes you pain, you don't want to have them there, right? Going deep, absolutely. If that causes you shoulder pain, don't go deep, right? And so, yeah, I just think that it's unrealistic to take advice from people when they're like, oh, you know, you need to take in, for instance, do these curls this way. Not gonna make any difference, right? So I don't know. I just wish there was more transparency.
So he continued posting all the way up until 2017, when he was finally released from prison and had gained around 10,000 followers on his account.
See, and I personally don't think, this is my opinion, you may feel differently, but I don't think if you're serving time, you should be allowed to start an Instagram account, or you're in there serving time. People in prison should not be bettering their life by possibly making a shit ton of money with a social media account on the taxpayer's dime, right? I think if you're in prison, I'm sure there are work programs, but everybody in prison should be working and doing something that benefits society, not coming out of prison being a millionaire, right? I just don't think that's really fair. My opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right.
Launching his business Watson Fit on the back of these followers. His real fame came from his YouTube channel though, which at the time was under the name of GP Penitentiary Life, and this is a decision which skyrocketed his career.
Definitely a niche, and I think a lot of that has to do because people like a comeback story. I mean, think about it. Like, if you see a guy who spent all this time in prison and they get out and they blow up and they're living this lifestyle. This is why shows like, remember the old Lifestyle Rich and Famous, the Kardashians, all these different shows where people are living this lavish lifestyle. People live through other people nowadays. That's just kind of the way it is. It's not my thing, but people love this. And so that's part of why. You see a guy going to prison, comes out better in his life, positivity. But I do feel like that has changed a lot. And now it's just he's constantly battling the haters, you know?
His first video was uploaded in July of 2019, titled "The Time I Almost Lost My Life in Prison," and it currently stands on 760,000 views.
Wow.
The comments were extremely surprising on this video too, with many viewing Wes as a window into what really goes on into the California prison system. This is easily one of the best channels on YouTube. Keep it up, real stories.
It's interesting. I find society odd. You know, it's interesting. I just personally wouldn't have any real reason to want to listen to some guy who spent time in prison. Now, unless of course, like I was in prison, right? I think if you have been through a lifestyle where you have been in prison, people always like things that they can relate to. maybe there's a lot of people that can relate to that. I just personally am not one of them.
This positivity wouldn't stick around forever, as we'll come to see, but in 2019, Wes really was one of the biggest channels of the time in the self-help world. His series on prison life gained tens of millions of views on these videos alone, with people shocked at the stories he was coming out with.
And the shit out here when a simple ass, straight up princess tells me that he's having trouble sleeping. Motherfucker, man. Your bed is so comfortable. Your life is so good. You let that shit run a train on your soft ass.
It seems like most of Wes...
Yeah, I mean, he's just overly aggressive, dude. Just, you know, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for a guy. Like, if you've been through or if you come from a place that's very difficult, right? And you hear somebody complain, you know the old saying, I cry, my mom says all the time, I cried because I had no shoes and met a man that had no feet. I think always kind of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes is beneficial for you to appreciate where you're at and what you do have. A lot of people will look at what they don't have, and we're all guilty of that. I do that too, you know. But I mean, I do try to stay positive, and that does kind of require, like, I don't know, not necessarily. I think keeping busy is really, if you keep busy and you're constantly mind's occupied, you don't have time to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, right? So I think it's kind of like the message, like you complain about, oh, I can't sleep, you know, and people are sleeping in these beautiful beds, people sleeping on the floor, right? So I kind of get what
Wes's
he's saying.
money has been earned through his fitness brand and his self-help life coaching, which evolved over time alongside his appearance and voice. He started to realize his persona as a rugged ex-con was more valuable than just simply telling stories of what happened in prison, and he hopped on the alpha male wave of the time and ran with it.
The alpha male wave I really can't stand. It's just a lot of these guys. And again, whatever works for you. But I just feel like these guys are it's very easy. You know, timing is everything too. And I'm sure there's lots of dudes out there who, if you tried to, if this guy had a twin brother tomorrow that looked like him, that was in his shape, and his story is like, that channel is just not necessarily going to gain traction and grow, right? There's lots of dudes who have amazing builds. Like, there's one guy I follow on Instagram. He's just like a meathead, 5'3", which is like, I'm not dissing the height, like, I mean, at all, but he is a shorter dude. Like, I'm not a tall guy either at all. Like, I'm 5'8". He's 5'3", and he weighs like 230, and he's jacked. But he's very open about, like, steroids. Whether or not he'll live to see for 55, I don't know, but he's entertaining, you know, and I mean, lifting crazy weight. But his channel's not really big, so it's just like, just what may work for one person, you just can't, it's not cookie cutter. You can't just duplicate it and think you're going to gain that level of success, right?
Videos focused less about his time in prison and started to tell men how to be men. Clearly,
yeah, I don't think, yeah, I mean, I guess everybody, if you are the kind of man who wants to have, like, all these material things, which I think a lot of people do, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying that because, like, I'm like, oh, well, I'm above that. I don't mean it like that. But I just think that, like, there's more to being a man than to, you know, have the hottest wife in the room or the hottest girlfriend with the biggest tits and driving the Bugatti. Granted, I don't have the Bugatti. And I don't have the girl with the big fake tits. Although I've had a lot of girls with big tits. But that's besides the point. The point is that there's more to life and being happy and being successful. Successful is subjective. And if you are a guy who wants the things that he has, the way he looks, then you will, I guess, want to emulate him. But this is not what I find, I don't want to use the word masculine, but it's not what I find desirable, right?
Targeting those insecure enough to listen. He boasted on his webpage that his business earns $10 million annually, vlogging inside his Lamborghini and Miami penthouse, all of which he claimed to own. His personality became more of a caricature of himself too. In his old videos, he would remain calm and talk about what seemed like genuine stories.
I think this kind of, like, if you look, I haven't watched a lot of his content, but he seems a little more normal in the beginning, and then he turns into, like, this very cocky, way more cockier guy, like, very arrogant. I think that's probably what, nobody likes a bully, right? And I think what really changed for him is when he had this, I think it was Andrew something, they had this, like, on stage, I don't know what it was, like some kind of talk show or something like that, and he just started saying, like, wow, you take advice from him. He was, like, making fun of the guy's build and saying he has tits, and it's like, dude, everybody, you know, maybe he doesn't, I think Andrew Wilson, I think his name is, maybe he doesn't want to work out, right? I mean, just because, like, you have this steroid-driven huge build, and you think you look good, it doesn't mean that everybody finds that attractive. And I know that might be difficult for a narcissist to wrap his head around, but everybody finds something different. Everybody finds different things attractive. And some people, they just want a family, right? I think everybody wants more money, absolutely. But, you know, some people have enough, you know? It's like these billionaires wanting more and more and more. Like, how much is enough, you know? I don't know. I just can't relate because I'm not rich, so...
But in more recently uploaded videos, that would be the complete opposite, even getting angry at a man using a leaf blower while he recorded one of his videos.
There's a good invention for you motherfuckers.
It must be...
Shut up!
See, it's like, it must be exhausting to constantly have to be... I don't know if that's the steroids, you know, that because that can alter, like, the way that you react to things, right? But, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, wouldn't you, like, if... Me personally, if I obtained a level of success where I was a multimillionaire and had all this fame and people like watching me and commenting, I think I'd want, you know, I know for a fact I'd want to try to do the best by humanity, right? It doesn't mean I'd necessarily be donating a bunch of money, but I think I'd be, I mean, even now, like, I'm extremely kind to people, you know? A working man, you know, we have landscapers, and like, I'm always like thanking them, even though like we pay for it, they're doing their job. I would never go out and yell at him. You know what I mean? I just think that that might be fueled by the steroids, a little bit of his personality, of course, but I don't know. I just don't think this is very becoming. You know, I think people value people who have it together, but also extremely kind and very generous with people, right? So I think that's what, again, that's coming from what I find, I think, desirable, right? Hey! To me, this is the actions of the guy who, like, almost, like, needs to prove he's a tough guy. And I just feel like tough guys don't do that. They don't need to prove that they're the tough guy. I mean, I don't know. Not a good look. General Lee says, I take steroids and I don't act like that. Yeah, so... Yeah, I've heard, and that's true, man. I've heard that people, like, if they have kind of that little chip, steroids will just kind of enhance that. You know, I'd never take steroids. I've never taken anything like that. I'm too paranoid about, like, trying to live a long life. I'm not saying if you take steroids that you're going to live a short life. But for me personally, it's not a choice I want to ever make. But knowing myself enough and some of the idiot things that I've done, and I can be very aggressive. I've done things that I'm not proud of in the way that I've responded and reacted. And so I just feel like I would not risk what steroids could do to my personality, just knowing myself enough, right? But a lot of people, yeah, if you're a pretty chill, calm dude, you go on gear, probably no difference at all, right? You just never know what you're going to get is the thing with some people.
Well, there the fuck you go. 2 minutes of the video wasted. Because these motherfuckers just don't get that it's so fucking annoying to sit
That's terrible.
there. There's no possible way that needed to be done at that level. This is
To me, he acts like a entitled, like, to me, this is the behavior of like a rich kid, you know, a spoiled brat rich kid. It's surprising that this is a guy who, if I were to see this guy and I didn't know anything about him acting like this, I'd say, wow, that was an entitled kid who was never told no his whole life. So this is kind of odd. Most people don't act like this when they've struggled, you know. They generally, like, understand that, hey, it's a working man doing a working man's job. Like, you know, they're appreciative. You know, I'd probably be out there be like, good job, man. Here's $100. You know, go get some meal. You know, go get some food. Go get some Chipotle tonight, right? I just wouldn't be acting like that. I wish I had more money. Like, I would be extremely generous to people. I'm not saying I would just give it out, right? Like, I think that you have to earn it. But if I went somewhere and I let's say I went to, you know, Chipotle, right? And the guy was super friendly. Like, I would definitely drop some coin there, you know, or anywhere. But I just wouldn't. I would reward good behavior better than I already do. I wouldn't just throw it around, right? But some guy landscaper doing work. Like, he doesn't know you're in there making some stupid YouTube video talking about nothing.
Miami, and the shit's everywhere.
Many have attributed his changed voice, aged face, and clear short temper with severe steroid abuse, and his short temper was only going to become more apparent as the months rolled on. In 2023, a huge drama unfolded in the Wes Watson subreddit, and it seems like the first time Wes was exposed
Subreddit, what a sewer.
as a scammer by his own core fan base. A user by the name of the Dutch Demon exposed how he sought help from Wes, showing messages in which he wants to buy the $3,000 a month life coaching package Wes was selling, showing messages he sent Wes claiming he was basically broke. Wes sensed the desperation in the man's messages and offered him the package for half price, so $1,500 for the month, which is still a total rip-off and a lot of money.
Well, buyer beware, right? I mean, yeah, that's a lot of money. I'd have to question this guy's, I question anybody's critical thinking skills if you're looking for somebody online and to pay for coaching. Like, I just don't, you know, it's so far from the way that I think. And I kind of feel like if you're, you know, this is his business. He's selling a product. This particular person wants to buy the product. He doesn't have enough. Wes is cutting him a deal on it. Ultimately, we'll continue on, but you know, buyer beware. I mean, ask what you're going to get. Ask what's included. Maybe he did do that, but to me, it's almost like somebody who's, you know, didn't do any kind of question asking beforehand and signed up, and then it wasn't happy with what he got. So, you know, there's all kinds of scams out there. Let's see.
The Dutch Demon was filled with hope and told Wes that this was the biggest risk he'd ever taken in his life, with Wes selling him the dream of making thousands in a day. Despite being a massive fan of his,
well, yeah, I mean, you can sell somebody the dream of making thousands a day because Wes probably makes thousands a day, but that doesn't mean that you're going to. Buyer beware. Like, common sense should tell you, just because you're going to get some advice from Wes Watson on how to start a YouTube channel, and you're not Wes Watson, right? You're not going to. People find fame sometimes just totally randomly, being at the right place, right time, saying the right thing. So you just can't just duplicate it. If you could, then everybody would have successful YouTube channels. It's not the way it works.
Wes clearly didn't care about him at all. Months.
Well, why would he care about him? He's a customer. Like, you're in a business, you know. I mean, you're selling a product. It's up to the customer to say, hey, well, what do I get for this? What, you know, use some critical thinking, for God's sakes, you know.
Went by and Wes was dodging.
You ever hear this? The old saying, "A sucker born every minute." What about you know, selling the Brooklyn Bridge? I mean,
every message sent his way, putting off call times and giving no other reason than things got moved around. After getting sick of Wes and disappointed by his service, he asked for his money back, which of course wouldn't happen easily. The Dutch Demon was $1,500 down and had nothing to show for it. And after
yeah, I mean, that does sound very shady, right? I mean, Wes Watson taking the money and not really following through, but you know, I guess we don't know what conversation happened beforehand. Was it, hey, you get, if I was buying something like this, I would be very clear with, like, okay, so I'm paying $1,500. How many meetings does that get me per week? You know, what are the topics of those meetings? What is the game plan? What is sort of the structure of this coaching program? And, you know, I just wouldn't just give somebody money without any kind of real solid documentation on what I'm getting. So sort of documentation stating and signed, right? Some kind of legal binding contract. A lot of people just, you don't trust anyone, right?
he asked for a refund, he would be ignored yet again for months, leading to the bank issuing a chargeback because Wes and his team ignored them also. It's not clear why
Well, there you go. So you got the money back.
he ignored the bank and his refund request, but
He probably ignored the bank because he probably just takes on client after client. Like, this is a numbers game, right? And yeah, that's shady. Yeah, that's dishonest, but he don't fucking care.
it certainly left a sour
And I'm not defending him at all, but what I'm saying is buyer beware, folks. Come on.
taste in his fans' mouths. I started watching his videos around a year after his channel started, and his advice really changed my life. Time passed and something just didn't seem
People are so How could some guy, like, who's been in prison, who talking on YouTube change your life? Like, This is odd to me what people get motivated by.
Right with his whole personality, and once he started with all the cars and flashing his wealth, I just felt like he lost touch with who he was at the start, and things were only going to get worse for Wes, as he was totally and utterly embarrassed.
This is what I'm talking about, the Andrew Wilson. He just Wes made an ass out of himself
On stage in front of paying alpha male.
And that's kind of, that should tell you a lot about, like, for anybody who's looking to do business with Wes Watson and, like, maybe sign for his coaching, this behavior should tell you a lot. Like, he doesn't really bring much to the table. I mean, there's more to being successful than being on steroids, having big muscles, and flashing wealth around. Like, that's lifestyles of rich and famous kind of stuff, right? That's what people really want to see. I mean, with guys like this, it's not like you're not gonna, just because he gives you advice, it doesn't mean that you're going to become rich and famous like him, right? Famous, I say that loosely.
In the summer of 2024, Wes started appearing on the Fresh and Fit podcast, which is known for its controversial takes and inflammatory guests, which made Wes and his new persona the perfect guest. After Andrew Wilson called Wes out and asked why he values money so highly, Wes then pressured Andrew, calling him broke, ugly, and fat, all while completely dodging Andrew's original question.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's just kind of the wrong response. I mean, you just don't start. Now, granted, if, like, you know, let's say Andrew Wilson were to, this is the way I think, like, if Andrew Wilson would have came at, you know, Wes Watson, be like, why do you think you look good? Those ugly tattoos, a bald ass head. And then this was the response. Like, I get that. But, like, for somebody to say, hey, just ask a serious question. Why do you value money so much? Ask a probing question about kind of their psyche. And then you just start, like, it's like Wes took it as, like, some kind of insult and then start cutting the guy down, you know? Kind of odd response.
Struggling to string a coherent sentence together that wasn't filled with insults.
Prove a person's life.
Are you proud of who the fuck you are?
Why
Well, look at, are you proud? If you look in the mirror, would you guys say this motherfucker proud of who the?
See, and then he tries to, like, get the audience to, like, side. He's not man enough. He's not able to, I guess, articulate an argument here. He's got to try to get the audience on his side, which, you know, I don't think anybody was on this guy's side during this whole interaction.
The fuck he is? That's a bag of trash, dude. Pull your fucking shirt
Because
off.
I've been.
Tell me you're fucking proud of
Because
yourself.
I've been to fucking prison.
Jesus Christ.
That's right. And Andrew Wilson, that's a valid point. Like, you're not special because you've been to prison. Andrew Wilson just smokes him.
Because
Look
I've been
at
to
you,
prison.
bro. You got 10-inch arms and tits. Men don't have tits.
Andrew did fight back where he accused Wes of being in prison, which will be important later, but this only escalated tensions between the pair on stage.
No, they go to prison where they get ass.
You've never been to prison. Look,
That's
you're talking
what
about shit you
happens.
don't know.
They go to prison where they get.
How you get your ass beat in front
You
of
think that
everybody?
that's better?
Guys,
You think that that's better? Do you have?
I do think it's kind of funny, like, Wes Watson wearing those skinny jeans, which is, like, I'm not, like, trying to hate. Like, I have a few pairs myself, but it is, like, I feel like that kind of phase kind of came and went. And some people still like it. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't know, man. When I think of masculine, like, if I just think of, like, what physically looks masculine, I just picture, like a dude on a horse, you know, like a cowboy, like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just, everybody's gonna see something different, but I don't know, man. Just for him to, like, attack Andrew Wilson like that, it's just, he's got nowhere else to go, you know, like, there's nothing else he can say. And
You have children?
I do have children.
How many?
I have 2.
Are you saying that your Bugatti and your money and everything
If
else
they
is
saw me
worth more
standing
than your
there, they'd be
children?
like, my dad's a superhero. Look what he brought to the table. Look how hard this guy works.
no, I think that, I'm not a parent, but I would think that kids would much rather value, I think, thinking my dad's a superhero because he's got tattoos and muscles and a bunch of money and spoils us with a bunch of material things, that kid usually grows up to be extremely spoiled and a brat. Kind of like the way Wes Watson is, right? And so, I mean, it's not always a set rule, but I think, you know, I know, like, when I'm not a parent, but I can think of what I value, and my parents have had my back my whole life. They're my best friends. I see them every single day. That's what I value more than any of my, you know, 500 shitty Chinese watches, as some folks would say, right? All material things, I like material things, but that's not what ultimately brings me joy, right? So
He came from nothing to this.
Yeah.
He works.
and Wes may learn that in life, right? He may learn that later on when it is too late. we don't know what kind of relationship he has with his kids, so we're just kind of speculating.
God damn it!
They're still whining. Stop whining.
That
and
is
just
a
make an
product.
argument.
I'll smack your fat
So you're
ass.
gonna attack.
Straight
You're gonna
up.
attack me.
Wes getting pegged and threatening
Yeah, I don't think he. Yeah, well, I think
to attack someone is something that'll become very real later on in the story, but for now his fans were starting to get extremely tired of his behaviour and started to question how much money he was actually making. Multiple Reddit threads started to crop up which exposed Wes's rented lifestyle, namely his $30 million mansion in San Diego. After he did a house tour, someone on Reddit shared a Zillow listing for his property which showed that he was paying $80,000 a month in rent for it. And things get worse for him too, as it was about to be exposed that his renting habits stretched further than just homes.
I hate the whole like Gucci Fendi look. Like that whole monogram thing is just, it's so like cheesy to me. But hey, he likes it. That's all that matters.
As
right?
another Redditor exposed him for renting his girlfriend, calling him the definition of a cook. And his problems with women wouldn't end here, as this escort would end up leaving Wes, with some shocking allegations coming out about the reasons why, and it may have something to do with his experiences in prison. YouTuber and professional Wes Watson hater John Bravo put out a video titled "Wes Watson and Big Boy Suffer Nuclear Meltdown" and revealed something many people have suspected all along.
You remember her with the big fucking lips? Well, she got tired of...
If you haven't checked out John Bravo, he's hilarious. And this whole look, like this whole like this Instagram look with the big lips and the big tits. It's just so like they all look the same. Hey, if they're happy with it, that's all that matters. They're all attractive. These are attractive women. I'm not saying they're not, but it's such a cookie cutter, like generic look. You know, it's just not, doesn't really do it for me personally, but I don't know.
of all the bullshit too. She got tired of him. She got tired of having to him.
John Bravo revealed that Wes Watson, the alpha male super king, gets by his girlfriend, all revealed by his ex-wife, who also used to do that to Wes. At this point, Wes was being constantly roasted online for being for his rented house and girlfriend, and also his cute purse which he carries around with him.
And so this purse-carrying, peg-taking people.
I mean, if he likes the purse, that's all that matters. But to me, when I think of masculine, like, this is not what I picture. This is a purse. Women typically carry purses. You know, I get it. It's a functional bag. You got your, I don't know, really all like, I mean, he's got the phone in the pocket, so I'm not sure what you'd keep in there. But, you know, all that matters is he likes it. I mean, I think that nobody would really be talking shit about this if he didn't, like, try to make fun of Andrew Wilson, right?
Pleasing as her. Well, he's the kind of guy that likes to exit, you know, to pull out and finish all over himself, aka on his stomach.
And it doesn't just end here, as Wes has even breached the fitness bubble and reached the king of callouts, Penguin Zero, who made a video on Wes and how he is getting gadooshed or roasted constantly online, and pointed out just how hilarious his situation is.
Do you even realize how lucky you are to be able to just sit here in peace while there's others out there struggling by getting gadooshed every day? You ever stop to think about those people? And by the people, I mean that one guy, Wes Watson.
Imagine this stud, this ringleader of Reddit reviewers who gadoosh me. Oh, fuck. Oh my God. No, bro. I was too busy making millions of dollars and not knowing who you are at all while you were gadooshing yourself about me.
I just love it. I absolutely love it. It kind of reminds me of like that old cartoon gag that they do all the time where a character will step on a rake and it hits him in the face. They turn around, step on another rake, it hits him in the face, and it just goes back and forth a couple times. That's Wes Watson with gadooshing. He is just constantly getting big time gadooshed. And he pretends to play.
Yeah, I guess he is. Like, he definitely takes a lot of hate, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it's all part of what he's doing, right? I mean, he's making a shit ton of money on YouTube. I mean, and putting the fitness programs and all the other shit aside, like just on his channel, like when you have 500,000 subs, like that's pretty friggin' good. I mean,
Play it off like he doesn't care, but he's the guy who cares the most in the world about everything.
yeah, I mean, I can see why one would think that he cares about everything because he makes videos about it, but he might really not. He might be just laughing all the way to the bank. We don't really know what's in his heart, but he definitely comes across that he does care what people are saying about him, so he's constantly defending it. But also, like, it just drives the YouTube algorithm, right?
He argues with everyone, even through text messages, even through Instagram DMs, on Reddit. He is constantly arguing with anybody that doesn't like him. And one thing he's always really proud of when he mentions jail is like how flexible his anus is. So he's constantly talking about like hooping his paperwork and sticking things in his butt.
Damn, I didn't hear any of that, but that's more than I need to know or talk about.
And like showing his butt to other people in jail. Like he even said that people wouldn't even recognize him by his face sometimes. They recognized him by his brown balloon knot, by his fucking asshole.
You know they love to see them buttholes. They want you to wink at them the whole nine, so I gotta show them. They want to see. They only know you by your butthole in there. They see my face, and they're like, oh, who are you again? And then I just bend over, I show them the butthole. Oh, Wes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the other gentleman was saying this a little bit out of context. It was trying to be funny here. I think what he's referring to is, you know, like the prison guards, like checking you, you know, caught bending squat. I believe that's how it works. Make sure you're not hiding something up your ass. I don't know. I don't know if he's necessarily. Maybe this is coming across. I'm not defending him, but maybe this is coming across not the way. This video he should have deleted immediately. But
Wes Watson, how you doing, bro? What's up? Nice to meet you again.
After all of these embarrassments
weird
online, it seems like Wes's once totally loyal fan base has turned on him completely. Not only has his YouTube channel views dropped to barely a few thousand each video, but people are actually starting to DM him to fight in person, which may have ended up with Wes going back to prison. On December 30th, 2024, Wes uploaded an Instagram post with the caption, "A hater came and tried to test me yesterday at the gym. I tried to talk him out of the fight, but it did not go as we planned." There was a strange lack of video evidence of this fight on Wes's Instagram though, and a comment on this post even said, "This sounded hella made up, not gonna lie," which in fairness it does.
Yeah, I would have thought it was made up too, but you know, I mean, he appeared before the judge, so I believe it's real. But yeah, unfortunate, dude may go back to jail. I mean, depends on how you look at it. Fortunate and unfortunate. Guess depends on whether you like him.
However, it seems as though the reason Wes left the footage out was because it shows him committing a very
That's the thing about these guys too that are all on steroids. Like when I watch them work out, I don't know if this is just for the video because these guys don't look like they're working out very hard. So.
serious crime. It turns out that Wes had pre-arranged to fight this guy in a 1v1 inside Wes's gym, but when the guy showed up, Wes started smacking him with a belt, while his 3 friends all started to beat him too, with one even.
Yeah, pretty easy to be tough when you got 4 of your friends, man. I mean, that's just Wes. If he really wanted to man up with this, he should have been like, "Listen, let's step outside and handle this, right? Not just me and him. No spectators, nobody, you know." But that's the way it went down.
Using a dumbbell as a weapon. The security footage obtained by John Bravo makes for seriously grim viewing.
Now take a look. You see the monster lunge forward. I can't tell if he's going after Wes or if he's being pushed from this footage, but you can see the asshole with the dumbbell in his hand, with his arm around his back, and then Wes is pulling his ponytail. We have another one of the goons throwing a kick.
I mean, and that's the thing though too, like, you know, when you're, I mean, totally unfair fight, right? But, you know, you should have more common sense. For the guy who wanted to challenge him, you know, why confront them at the gym, right? I mean, wait for him outside, wait for him at his home. Like, you can find out where he lives, you know? Like, I don't know. I just feel like this was just really stupid for you to go up to 4 dudes. And what do you expect's going to happen, right? But I hope they all get in trouble, honestly. Each one of them.
To his face, and then holding him down with his other hand. And then the biggest pussy of them all, this fat pig, he throws a kick to make it look
that's
like
terrible, man. What I mean, what a that's straight up like, I don't know, man. You get 4 of your friends, like, I mean, come on, that doesn't look good for you.
he did something, the piece of shit. And then over here, you got Wes on top throwing over 45 punches right here alone, and this other asshole with the dumbbell still in his hand.
Well, you know, probably after all is said and done, Wes is going to have to pay up for some kind of lawsuit if he doesn't go to jail. So,
and then somebody from
time will determine whether or not Wes thinks it was worth it to, I guess, defend your manhood.
the gym came over to try to pull Wes off of him, and then Wes pushed him away, and they kept on holding him down, poking in his eyes and pulling his hair. And right when you think it's over, having taken over 50 shots to the head and 7 soccer kicks by Wes alone, he wasn't finished yet.
Came over here and called him on the crowd. Push that!
at the end here.
Kind of thing, like, you know, people go to prison and then you think you'd not want to do anything to jeopardize your freedom. And so this is, you know, this is the kind of guy who should be in prison. You know, this is a guy who comes into society and this is what's going to happen, you know.
Here, you can see this
There's not a reformed guy. I mean,
little fat pig with a smile on his face. And then, look over here. You see that little ding on the floor? That's a piece of his ponytail.
It's a total coward move to agree to a 1v1 online, but then get your friends
yeah,
to
and
be.
that's why the guy went down there. From my understanding, is like he kept saying like one-on-one, but like, dude, that's not one-on-one, man. I mean, that's, he should be ashamed of himself, honestly. But a narcissist will never be ashamed of themselves. Like a person who feels like they made the wrong move, who has the ability to look in themselves and, you know, I mean, is this the kind of guy you want to take life advice from, right? Somebody who just is never wrong. I'm never wrong. I'm the narcissist. I can make an excuse for anything that I do. Like, there's no excuse for this, you know? And if you were going to fight him one-on-one, you said, hey, you know, I'm Mr. Tough Guy. Come challenge me. Like, this is not how you do it with three of your buddies. Like, Wes should have been like, guys, stay back. I'm going outside with this guy, right?
Beat him and even pull his ponytail out in person. Thankfully, in what could be the end of Wes Watson's career.
And I don't mean to say like, and honestly, like this just should not be going on with grown-ass men. I mean,
Charges have been pressed and a police report has been filed, as revealed once again by John Bravo. There hasn't been an update on this case yet.
John Bravo's so funny. He hates this guy. And I can't say I like this guy at all. I'm not going to say I hate Wes Watson because he's never done anything to me, right? I mean, he's just a dude on YouTube who's extremely talked about. So I had to get my video in. But, yeah, I mean, not a fan.
But if you're anything like me, you'll be hoping that he gets what he deserves and ends back where he belongs. And if you want to say...
He does say, like, there's always, like, this... I don't know, he's always saying he's not 5'8", and then he's, like, 6-something, 250, but, like, in his defense, the police report, you know, said he was 230, 5'8". You know, weight, your ID, I believe that they go, I don't know if, and you guys tell me, I don't know if you, when you get arrested and you're being booked, that they'll actually weigh you and take your height right then and there. I think a lot of times they jot that down off your ID. So he might have got an ID 5 years ago, maybe been 230. The height generally isn't going to change. So him saying he's not 5'8", he's probably 5'8". But I don't know. I mean, still 5'8". He just gotta love himself. I mean, just there's nothing wrong with being 5'8". Like I'm 5'8". I would give two fucks if somebody thinks I'm short or tall. I don't really, well, nobody's really gonna think I'm tall, but I don't know. Just stuff like that is kind of like, dude, are you that insecure about your height? Like, who cares, you know?
Downfall of another scammer who has recently been hanging around with Wes. Click the video on your screen now to see the satisfying downfall of Cali Muscle, alleged.
Yeah, so a lot of these videos are really like, you know, this one, the satisfying downfall. I don't really know if there is a downfall yet, you know? I mean, right now the guy is still making a shit ton of money, still seems to be living a well-funded life. So, I don't know, when you look at the comments, you're going to get both, you know? When you look at comments, people still, like, don't care about this, you know? They still love Wes Watson. They're going to take advice from him. They look up to him. And so there's really nothing... I don't really know if guys like this ever really have a downfall, you know? They've achieved a level of success. I don't really know if there's anything that he could really do that would really ruin him altogether. There's always going to be somebody out there who's going to like this, right? Maverick said 5'7" master height. I think he meant max height. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't know how tall the guy is, and nor do I really care, you know? Just, but an easy way for him to put that to bed, if you really are 6'1", is just like do a video. It's suspect when somebody's like really upset about it and constantly talking about it to not do a video where you stand up against a wall with a tape measure, measure yourself, put it to bed, right? But even then, people be like, oh, he altered the tape. You know, maybe bring the video in with like to your doctor's office and say, hey, I need you to measure me. I don't know. There's a way to kind of like help to put that to bed, but he never does. And so, you know, I mean, people are going to keep on him for it, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, if somebody really said something that bothered me on YouTube that was like not true and I felt the need to prove it. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily prove it, but if it bothered me enough that I felt the need to, like I would, you know. But that's why it's always best to kind of just be honest about what you're saying, about what you believe and be real to yourself before anybody. you know, then you don't really have to, I guess, worry about that. But I don't know. Anyway, that was my take on Wes Watson. Seen him before, not a fan, but a lot of people, you know, when you are on top, a lot of the haters are going to want to see you fall. That's always the way. And if you give them a reason, and Wes Watson definitely gives a lot of folks a reason to hate him, right? He doesn't, to me, when I look at this guy, he's not an intelligent guy from the way that he articulates. But other people may feel that he is, right? And just give my opinion. I'm not a fan. He's not somebody I would ever take advice from. I more power to him for being successful, whether that's for now or permanently. Whether he's got a rented life or not, he's still bringing in a shit ton of money. And so if that makes him happy, it's his life, whatever. It's, you know, more power to him. But to anybody who does get burned or ripped, feels like they got ripped off, you know, be a smart shopper. Ask questions before you sign up for things. Remember that no one person is going to change your life. Like, change has to come from within. You know, it's nothing wrong with seeing somebody that you say, hey, that person's achieved level of success, I want to emulate that. Sometimes that may be, you know, the way that you talk, right? You know, the way that you communicate. One might say, you know, I'm running around, you know, using slang words and running around kind of maybe talking a certain way. And maybe you see people in certain positions that you say, hey, that's a successful businessman. You like the way that he talks. Maybe he enunciates better, right? I mean, whatever you look up to is what you may want to emulate, but that's your own choice. I think that if you're going to follow somebody, you know, if you need that and you become a better person for it, I just don't think a guy like this is going to make you to become a better person when really his message is about biggest tits, hottest chick, most money, most Bugattis, more. And there's nothing wrong with that, but, you know, for a lot of people, it's just, that's not the definition of success in life. And I'm not saying that because I don't have those things. I'm just saying that, you know, if I had those things, I would still carry myself exactly like I carry myself now. So it is what it is. So whatever. Anybody who popped into the chat, thanks for watching. We'll see if this video gets any kind of comments. Again, you'll always see kind of different reaction videos. Most of the time it's about watches and stuff that I generally are kind of within my lane. But it's always kind of interesting just to put a video like this and see what subscribers you gain from it. So thanks for watching, folks. Do subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Check out some of my other live feeds. Check out all my other videos. If I can help in any way, let me know. Have a fantastic day and take care.